Okay, Ian, hi. How are you? I am going to give you a video screencasted course review based on the activity that you've done to date. I have reviewed your course and I have looked at your self-assessment and comments about the self-assessment assignment. And so I'm here in front of your course and I'm going to go over it sort of cosmetically first, sort of overall, give you some comments and feedback, and then I'll dive right in to specific documents, and we can talk about them. Now, sort of first, what I would do is put the title of the course right in here in the topic outline. And I know it's up here, but somehow or another it sort of fades into the background. And so I'd really encourage you to put in the topic outline something like Welcome to Economic Collapse 2008, and then add your name next to it so that right at the front top of the course everyone knows you're the instructor and they're in the right place because they are there to take Economic Collapse 2008. It just will really help to orient the students, make sure that that they're there and they know who you are. Also cosmetically, I would look at some of the blocks that you have and get rid of the ones that you won't be using. And so unless you're using a calendar and calendaring events, I would get rid of upcoming events. I would get rid of recent activity. It doesn't really add anything in terms of navigation or course management efficiencies. I would move people over to the prime real estate where this is right now and add who's online and messages to this section over here. And those seem to me to be the main things that you'd want to know either as instructor or student in a course of what's going on, whether I have messages, whether anyone else is online with me or not, and then access to the participant profile so I can see who I'm talking to. I noticed here everything looks great, except you should sign this to personalize it to yourself and make sure they know again who you are and what your name is. You have to not assume anything, and they can't tell from this document who wrote it. Do you see that? So the worst thing is to be in a course and not know who the instructor is. It's just really annoying. Okay, so I have gone through all of your overview, your course information documents before, and I want to make sure that as you refine your course and make changes and adjustments to your course, that you come here and update these documents to be sure that you do that here too. I see that you're using a whole bunch of tools. I love that you're fearless to try to use all these tools. I want to make sure that that you're using them for specific pedagogical objectives and not just for the sake of the technology. I can't find an example offhand right now, but you need to watch your grammar and your spelling. You have a bunch of errors in here that I have seen, and you just need to go through and do spell checks or have somebody read your documents to make sure that you clean all that stuff up before this potentially gets in front of students. If I see one along the way, I'll point it out to you. So these are the activities that their students are going to be doing, and you could use the word processing tool to make this look a little bit better. I know that you're still working on stuff, and so maybe you're planning on sort of making it pretty later. But I'm just making mention that it'd be nice to clean that up a little bit. I noted in your interaction document you have some very specific expectations for the student. Now, but I didn't find any rubric, and you do mention a rubric in the body of your discussion somewhere, and we'll get to that in a second. But I could not find any rubric in here. And you really need one, because it's just essential to have students understand how they're going to be evaluated. This is not a rubric. This is how they're going to be graded. And I mean, maybe you're thinking that this is a rubric, but it doesn't really, kind of qualitatively define in a rubric kind of a way how a student can self-evaluate and make decisions about how they interact and at what levels of expectations to interact with, because they can't assume anything either, and they don't really know what you mean by well thought out. You know what I mean? So you actually need to design a rubric for this, so that it helps the students to really understand how to interact in your course. Here's one of those mistakes. Student-led would be hyphenated, and it's LED. I love that you're doing student-led discussions. I love that you have, the percentages here that you have are pretty good. This one seems a little high to me, but I'm hoping that you're having them share this, so it's a collaborative activity and not an individual isolated activity. And that you're having group activities, and for all of this stuff you need rubrics. You're having them do a blog. This research assignment, you label it differently, and you need to be consistent in your labeling. Somewhere it's called, the social networking activity. You just need to be real consistent in how you label things. And I was, I guess my recommendation would be that you not have an activity in your course that's not graded. If it's worth having in the course, if you want them to do it, if they're going to spend time doing it, then it should have value, and you should have a mechanism to evaluate it, and you should have a mechanism to provide feedback to them if they are not meeting your expectations. And I looked at the activity, and it's not inconsequential. You're having them post 5 things each module, if I recall correctly, and you're having them build what you're calling a database of rock stars, and that is not an insignificant task. So I would take some away from your essay and give it to the social networking activity, so that it really has a place, an authentic place in your course. Let's see now. In terms of structure, what I would like to see, I'm not sure did I tell you about getting rid of the news forum? The news forum is a discussion forum, or it looks like a discussion forum, but it's not a discussion forum. So it allows you to post announcements, but it doesn't allow the students to interact with any of those announcements. So if they have a question, they're SOL. They have no way, they have to go somewhere else in order to ask you about a particular announcement. So I would get rid of the news forum, and if you want a forum for announcements, just create a fresh actual discussion forum in there so that you can use it and interact with students in it. This one is tied to this block, so you need to get rid of this block too. Unfortunately, it's kind of a nice feature, but without the interaction capabilities here, it's really kind of useless. I would get rid of upcoming events and recent activities if you're not tying things directly to a calendar, which I think you shouldn't. I think what should go up here in this prime real estate is participants, who's online, and messages, so that people know right away, the important information that they would be looking for, you know, up in a spot in the course where it's pretty visible. In terms of the structure of your course, I have two main comments or suggestions. One is it would help if you used some labels here to separate out sort of directions and content presentation and activities. And so you can use labels to do that. So you could have a module overview and as a label, and then introduction could be you know, the title of that overview, or you could just call it module overview and leave the document there, and then separate out some of these other things with labels. That's one of the things. The other thing that I wanted to mention to you is you actually gave all your module overviews contextual titles, but you didn't do it with any of the other ones. So, for example, you have discussion forum for module 2 and readings and blog assignment and start connecting with social networks, and all of these could have contextual readings. So this could be you know, whatever this topic is. Oh, they don't have any readings for this particular class, but you know, this requires a context. You're losing an opportunity to provide your students with some advanced organizers and some instructional cues about what the content is about and how it's organized, and what how you know, what you think about it in terms of importance and so forth. The same with the blog assignment. You know, although the assignment is the same, you say, from module to module, you can help guide their reflections by providing some contextual cues here, and kind of frame it toward whatever the topic is in the module at hand. You reflected on this in your own when you did your self-assessment. You need to go through and really look at your instructions and look at how you're laying things out. And make sure from the student perspective, and I know you really articulated that extremely well, but I need you to do that more because with the strength of your voice and how you articulated it, I'm not completely seeing that here in the product. So you know, you need to really go through with a fine-tooth comb and think about this from the student perspective. So give these things: readings, discussion, blog assignment, start connecting with social networks. Give them some sort of module-specific contextual titles that will give the students instructional information about the module and the content in the module from the titles. Okay, so you're having them do videos. You know, this could be the title, or I guess this is the title of your module, and then this could just simply be module overview, and then you would have readings, video, discussion, but you need to give these a little bit better titles. I love that you're doing case studies, but again, you're missing an overview, and you're missing sort of like, how do they ask a question here? And you know, where is it that you are, you know, here's where you're referring to the rubric, and I couldn't find a rubric. And you are, I think, not giving them enough sort of cues and information in their blog assignments. So I do think that with some labels and indents and maybe some hard rules, you could make this look a little bit cleaner. I do love the graphics. I love that you're doing the case studies. You know, I think it all looks great. You have a wrap up here. You need to really, this is something that's sort of standard in Moodle. You need to customize this, and I would look in the handbook for the descriptive feedback questions that I ask, and I'd modify those or adapt those for yourself. You're doing a great job, Ian, in the course, and I really hope you get a chance to teach teach this course, and